Hello, welcome to this resin tutorial. My name's Michelle Tracy. Just using a little MDF cutout of a seahorse, I've mixed some sand into resin for the first layer, and I will sprinkle some sand over the dry area where I want the dry sand to be, and I'll continue to sprinkle that as it sinks in, so I've got some of it sitting on top. And now's a good time to apply the shells because they'll stick to the resin. And the brand of resin I'm using is Art Resin. It's my resin of choice because it is a lot safer than other brands when used in a well-ventilated room. Mixing a purple, a blue and a metallic gold using a metal powder. I have mixed white into the purple and the blue to lighten it, so you have to be mindful that that will make the colours opaque because the white is opaque. But it's okay because it's just a base coat. I don't need anything showing through it. And I'll pour that white on the clear resin at the bottom and blow it out with my heat gun. I did prime the board first with white gesso and let that dry for 24 hours before I did pour this resin or applied the sand layer. You do have to be extra cautious using metal powders because the tiny little flakes will be airborne and they float around in the air, so make sure you are very vigilant in wearing a mask. But they're so worth it because they are so beautiful the way that they just float on top of the resin as opposed to a metallic pigment that would mix into the resin. And it will retain that beautiful shimmer because I'm using Art Resin, and Art Resin has really excellent non-yellowing properties, as well as UV stabilizers too. If you're in winter like I am, you might want to heat your resin up in a warm bath like I did. I let it sit in the warm bath for about 20 minutes because if the resin's too cold when you're mixing, it will not mix correctly and it will also have tiny micro bubbles in it. So the heat will help with all that. And I've chosen some turquoise crystals to decorate this piece with, and that little eye just was a perfectly round shape that fell out as soon as I opened the crystal container. Using the blowtorch to activate the lacing and pop any bubbles. Just adding some little finishing touches before I let it dry overnight, and then I'll sand it back before I pour the second coat. Being sure to give it a light sand the next day after it's hardened, about 24 hours afterwards. The sanding will rough up the surface so the next coat of resin has some tooth to stick to. After pouring on some clear resin, I let it sit for about 10 minutes for that white to thicken up before pouring it. And using my heat gun to blow it out, I'm using Iceland white from Art Tree Creations today, and it gets some beautiful foam and lacing. I'll show you the finished piece outdoors so you can really see that shimmer. I really hope you enjoyed watching this. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. My name's Michelle Tracy and thank you so much for watching.